What is up, guys, and welcome to the VisualWood podcast, episode number 14. And I am here. Hey, thank you. I think you said you weren't going to say anything.
Nobody's going to understand that. Sorry, yeah, no, I'll be quiet. Sorry.
Yeah. And I'm here with the very rude Wooden Potatoes. How are you doing today, sir?
Hello, today we revealed I am indeed a gobbling turkey. Hello, everybody. It's good to be here. Thanks for inviting me back onto the show, Matt.
Hey, you're welcome. You're welcome.
So exciting to be on this prestigious Guild Wars 2 podcast.
Yes,
with all the special guests and stuff.
Yeah. It's great. It's great. Well, we have returning people all the time. You know. Yeah.
They're like the podcast equivalent of invisible people because they just come on the podcast. There are special guests, but they just don't say anything. That's the thing. Like, they're just silent. So
my dad, Colin Johansson, is right next to me right now. He's just listening, but you know he doesn't want to say anything.
He's a great guy, dude.
He is, man.
But I do have to ask why he's hidden the fact that you're his son from the population for so long. Like, is he ashamed, or I mean, is there a story here?
I don't know. I think it's because, you know, like sometimes I say some stuff and he doesn't want to be associated with me sometimes. But I'm pretty sure he still loves me.
Pretty sure, yeah. That's good. That's nice.
You know, and it has probably something to do with, you know, I didn't get his tall genes, and I'm kind of smaller than him, you know.
Yeah, right. So when you met him, was he legit like?
He was a monster. He was ridiculous. He was touching the roof. You didn't see it in the video. I had to use like After Effects to kind of adjust his size. So
I like the idea that you were just stood on a box the whole time. It was pretty cool. Like I've met him IRL as well. Like before the game came out, when they did a show at what was it? Jeez, what's the English gaming convention thing that they do?
Eurogamer,
that's it, yeah. And he was there. And yeah, my God, he's a tall man. I didn't remember too much of how tall he was, but I do remember there was like a gaggle of nerds, me included, like swarming around him. Like, and nobody could get a word in edgewise, but he was just sort of towering over the rest of them.
Guild Wars 2! Oh my gosh, I love you, Colin Johansson!
Yeah, no, but we're British nerds. So we don't sound
how
like
does that sound? You sound like Harry Potter, like a nerd here.
Oh my God, yours too. That's what we sound like.
Oh my God, Hermione, come here.
Actually, I'm quite proud that there is no like stereotypical British nerd voice. Like any nerd voice I ever think to do, I put an American accent on it. I'm not being funny, but that is like my nerd voice. There is no English one. See, we're just a little bit too classy for that, I guess.
Oh, I see. Well, at least we have better teeth, right?
Oh snap! Oh snap!
Oh yes, the Nightmare Within. That is the patch.
That's the current patch.
That's the current patch, and we got to go into the tower, man. What do you think? Was it good?
Yeah.
Good?
Okay.
Everything that we thought of, everything that we dreamed of.
So we have kind of differing opinions on the patch, right? Wow.
Sort of. What do you mean? You're trying to say that I hate the patch? I love the patch.
No.
I love the patch.
Do you love the patch?
No, I don't love the patch. It's like when you meet a girl, very cute girl, right? You know, you get along. You like her, but you don't love her. You know what I'm saying?
And you're looking for love, and that's the problem.
What?
And you're looking for love, and that's the problem.
I am looking for love.
I think that's pretty an apt analogy, though, right? Because a lot of people are kind of content with Living Story.
Yeah.
But they want to be way more than that. They want to be, you know, marrying the Living Story. They want Guild Wars 2 to be their mainstay. And dude, that's such a good analogy.
Yeah, you want to put a ring on it. If you like it, then you
should have put a ring on it. I was so desperate to sing it, but I didn't know it would be appropriate.
Yeah. It feels like this past couple months I've been feeling that. It's just like I like the patch, but it's not something like, oh my gosh, I want this in my mouth. You know, it's none of that. I haven't been feeling it.
I was talking
lately
about love, not that.
Yeah, this is after love. You know, this is when you get married. You know, between okay. two people who really love each other.
Okay.
I was about to say a man and a woman, but that would just cause so much controversy.
Would
Anyway,
it really?
Hey, I shouldn't have said anything, huh? Anyways, so what do you think about the patch?
I think that the VisualWood podcast isn't gay friendly now, and I'm put off by it. No, I have this thing where I'll play the patch and I get so enthused by it, and I'm like, oh, look at it! Like I was on the bottom floor of the tower, and I was already immediately peeing my pants. I was like, oh wow, this looks so cool! It's so much bigger than I thought it was, and that like excitement of a patch will carry me over for a while.
Yeah.
But, it's funny because last patch, so what I did before this one came out was I spent most of 3 hours maybe? Something like that. More than that in total, but like grinding out all of the previous patches achievements. So, I had the obelisk. Everything was done. So when the new one came in, there wasn't much risk that ArenaNet were going to remove the old achievements in the first place. But just in case they did, I finished all the old stuff. Last patch, before we got to go in the tower, was really grindy. There wasn't much there, but it was very grindy and it kept people playing. This patch, there was a lot more tangible damn content this patch. A lot more. But the achievements they added, they weren't very grindy at all, right? So people went in, finished the patch in like an hour or so, and ArenaNet are punished by not making it grindy. Because by not making it grindy, what's everyone said? What's the reaction of everyone? And it's a valid
you just kind of log in and then you just log right back out. There's nothing to do after you finish everything.
Exactly. You're done in, 3 hours or so if you're, playing super efficiently.
Yeah.
And, that's such a horrible position for them to be in. It's like, oh, wow, so they didn't make it grindy, everyone finishes it and deems it to be worse. There's more complaining about this patch than the one before, even though this had more stuff in it. More voice acting, more room to do. And, that's such a shame. The other big problem with patches like this at the moment is the skill level of the players is all over the place. I had half the people saying to me, oh, this was really difficult, and my impression of it, especially...
What? I soloed the whole dang thing.
And my impression of it was actually that, it was quite difficult if you didn't have a Zerg with you, if you're trying to climb that tower, at the least the very outside of the tower. It was harder than other patches, and I thought, the inside instant stuff wasn't too difficult, but, I felt like the difficulty level was higher than the regular game. So I came out of that thinking that about it, but you got half of the other people saying, oh, this was you included, right? Yeah. This was the easiest thing in the world. I am massively disappointed. As if there's this huge area of the community now that's desperate only for challenges as the content comes out. And it's bizarre to me because now ArenaNet's also got all this feedback. I myself have had, feedback shouldn't even come to me, but I hear from people in the community, oh yeah, I really liked this patch because it was, it was kind of hard and it challenged me, compared to, oh, I played a regen warrior and I just walked my whole way up the tower and scratched my back.
Yeah, it has a lot to do with the classes as well. I was a guardian, so I mean, it's easy for me to just walk right up. I have so many abilities that
friggin' ages.
Yeah, I can just walk right through and be just fine. Even though some places kind of lock, you realize at the top of the tower, like the last bit before you can walk up to the top, it kind of blocks you off.
Oh, does it? What do you mean by that?
Yeah, this big vine thing that blocks you off sometimes, which is weird.
What do you mean going in the pods?
Yeah, I think you might have to go into the pod to open it or something like that. I could be wrong, but I remember that was the way I went. And then when I went back to get some footage, it was closed, and I was like, "What is this? What is this?" And then I died, and I was just like, "Nah, I don't need that footage anymore."
I know that the pods themselves open and close randomly, so that you shouldn't really be able to get all the pods on your first ascent through the tower. You'd have to go back through.
Wow. You're like, oh, you guys are just gonna blow through this. So guess what? We're not gonna make you do it so fast.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree with them doing that. If they didn't do that, then literally this patch would have been worth one climb up the tower, and you get all the pods on your way, and then what? You get one of the diving achievements, and then you get the second diving achievement, and then you're done, kind of thing. That's what it would have been worth. So, I do think they had to have this stuff in there. But I mean, for me personally, I'm buzzing on the patch at the moment. I haven't finished the meta. I haven't gone back in since that patch day, and I fully intend to. But it will get to the point. Speak to me next VisualWood. I'll be like, oh, the living story is it's terrible. It's game over, man. There's nothing to do.
All right.
And it's true. I can't say I'm in love with it.
For me, I got into the tower and I was like, wow, this is great. I love the way they designed the tower, the way how everyone's in the same map, right? So they didn't split anybody up, even though most of the time I was in an overflow. And as you go through the map, you know, you go higher and higher and higher. It felt big. It was a maze, which I kind of enjoyed. There was a lot of green in there, but I mean that's probably
it was kind of ugly, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a bit. Yeah, it was a bit ugly.
It was more ore. It kind of sucked.
Yeah, and I'm not a fan of ore too much. Like after a while, this kind of gets tiring after all that farming and farming and farming. But like, yeah, I mean, I liked it, and I like when you got to the top, you got to see everything outside, even though I would have liked a little bit more detail, like actually seeing like people walking around. That would be pretty cool. But and buildings and stuff in the side. But I like the tower going to the top and actually seeing like Guild Wars 2 off in the far distance. I love that type of stuff. Like back in the days in Guild Wars 1, my friends would show me these gorgeous places, even for Guild Wars 1, being an old game as it is, 7 years old. It looks really cool, and you could never go there as well back in the days, because Guild Wars 1 was kind of limited. There was always like invisible walls, and now there's mountains
you can jump
now.
Yeah, so you know, a 2-foot-high mound would stop you exploring the world. Yeah, but like is what you're talking about that achievement that you get at the top of the tower? Because there's 2 to jump to the bottom, isn't there? And one of them I haven't got, and that's where you finish the final instance and you walk out of the door and you're in Keswick Hills. Have you done that one?
No, I haven't done that one.
So in that one, you might be able to go out to the top of the tower, because what it does is it takes you out of inside the tower. It puts you back into Keswick Hills, but at the top. And from there, I'm guessing you'd probably get quite a nice vista and be able to look across all the hills and stuff and see the players down below before you drop off. Because there's 2 different diving goggles achievements, and that's one of them.
Oh, so after you defeat the boss, there's like a little portal that takes you out. I gotta go back and do that actually.
Yeah, you know, you kill the boss and it's got like a leave instance clicky thing. You don't click that, you explore the room and there's a secret like door in there, which I think is really cool design. I like the way they did that. Because there's those goggles and then there's the other ones outside of the pod, but within the Tower of Nightmares that drops you in the water in the middle, yeah?
Yeah.
Which is the one that I got. So, I mean, I think that for what it's worth, I also kind of went into this with kind of low expectations at the same time, because like it's been a bit of a roller coaster, what we've been saying about this patch on VisualWood, because it was like at first, it could be a big open world dungeon, and then it was, it's probably not, in my opinions anyway. Last week I thought it's probably not, and then it turned out to indeed be that, maybe a little bit on the small side for, you know, how grand it could have been.
Yeah.
But you know, I was happy straight away to see that it was a new open world map that's been added to the game. And what do you think about the prospect of that staying in the game now?
I think just like a few things in Guild Wars 2. I'm not gonna say a lot of things, but a few things. Every time there's a patch comes out, it's new for that very beginning part, and then all of a sudden it's like, okay, you know, it's the same old thing, and we don't want to go there anymore, so it's gonna be dead, you know.
Well, what about because I mean, the main reason why people want stuff to permanently be there is so that they can jump back in after months and then feel like there's an expansion's worth of content, even though there's not been an expansion. Do you know what I mean? Like, for all these people that are listening and kind of vaguely staying in the Guild Wars 2 loop without playing the game, they want that stuff to stay there so that they could come in. And if ArenaNet hadn't decided to be temporary with everything, they'd have everything from Flame and Frost up to play. And ArenaNet are only just leaving stuff in. What I found curious is, you know, you said that maybe the tower could get destroyed at some point, or, you know, that was one of the vague ideas we had before the patch came out. Do you remember? We were talking about it could get destroyed. I find it interesting that we're not really destroying it, are we? We're just injecting it with antitoxin. And the structure itself, in theory, could stay there. So I wonder what ArenaNet's plans are for next patch and the patches beyond, with stuff like the tower, whether we will just always have this instance available here. They're just going to change what mobs are inside, maybe, you know, to easier things, drop it back down to a level 15 zone instead of a level 80 zone. It's just an extra area you can explore in Keswick Hills with its own maybe permanent achievements.
That could be pretty good.
I mean, I think that would redeem it, and that would show that ArenaNet have been listening to the community in terms of temporary content. Like we've still got, we were joking just before we turned the podcast on about how an invasion just popped in Mount Maelstrom with Scarlet. Like, who's going to those at the moment? Nobody cares. But the reason why those are still happening is because ArenaNet are trying to listen to the player base and keep that content permanent, right? So but aside from that, we haven't seen too much more, and leaving the tower in could be another push towards that, or maybe it would just be useless. Would it be futile because nobody's going to be there en masse again?
Because I mean, no one can go in there without like a group, so
yeah, unless they change the exactly, like they'd have to change the mobs, the achievements associated with it to make it continue to be relevant. But at the same time, you can use that same argument for anywhere in Guild Wars 2, can't you?
Right.
Well, why did they add Brisbane Wildlands? Nobody goes there except for Guild Wars.
Brisbane Wildlands, man. I go there, man. I often skip there if I'm leveling. I not really skip, but like I don't do everything in that area. Like, there's a certain point where you just kind of hit that wall. It's just like, oh, okay, this is a little bit over leveled. A little over leveled. You're a little under leveled in the area, and then you have to just kind of move on to somewhere else. But like, I don't know. Going inside that place, the odds of someone being in there with you on your server at that time when you're leveling your character to get some extra levels, if they add like some type of quest
February 2014.
Yeah, like the odds of that happening is just slim to none. You're just not going to see anyone there. I mean, you barely see anyone in the other areas. I mean, let's be honest. Like, ArenaNet tries with putting like balloons and dragon coffers and all sorts of stuff to try to get people to go to other areas. They've been successful with Queensdale and other stuff that
champion boxes
and guild missions and stuff like that. But all the other areas are still just empty. I mean, empty, and that's a huge issue, especially that there's no events even spawning. And I've mentioned that before. Like, that's a big pet peeve. It's like, why is there any events like how launch was? Launch was just like events everywhere, and it was great to be able to level up a character pretty quickly with all these events keep spawning over and over again. I mean, who cares if I level up a little bit faster? It's fun to do these events, and I guess
fun is what you're going for. Right?
It's exactly, because at the end of the day, if you're not having fun, that kind of sucks, right? And leveling a character has become a chore, and that's why it's hard to do it now. It's just hard to do. It's like, I can't do it. I have to like sit down and take a whole day out and then knock out like a good 30, 40 levels in one day.
Did you see that there was that guy that got world completion? How few hours do you think you could get world completion in Guild Wars 2?
Hours?
Yeah. Days.
Man.
100% world. All of World versus World this includes.
If you have like no problem with World versus World, I would say you can do it in a day to a day and a half.
Wow, I shouldn't have said hours. That's low. There was a guy that posted, this is the best record I've seen so far, but he managed to do it in 42 hours, was it? 42 hours? Less in technically than 2 days worth of time. He got 100% really good map completion. He did it on a warrior that had great sword and then sword warhorn.
Of course.
and like Bull's Rush. It was just all mobility. It was just like rush. And he thinks he could probably do it again, but with a different route that would be way more efficient. I think that's awesome. That's such a cool idea. I've always loved the idea of getting like
world completion. Like world first or something like that?
Yeah, like, do you remember at launch, there was like that French guild that goes to every MMO that releases, and they get the first level 80. Do you remember all the stuff about the first level 80 at launch?
I remember the first level 80 being through crafting.
Yeah, and do you remember that, about how like he got it within the first day? And I remember it was so fast the devs didn't sort of believe it, and there was a little bit of confusion at the start, and someone else was doing it at the same time, but they were doing it through illegitimate means, and then like ArenaNet like apologized and stuff. But anyway, that was through crafting. Think about it today. If you really, really wanted to, you could get a level 20 scroll, and then you could get 60 of those immediate level up scrolls from Blackline chests. Somebody worked out the maths. It would cost like thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars to do it. But if you did that, you could get like an instant level 80. And I just love that idea. Like, how quickly can you get everything? I used to think about it with Guild Wars 1 as well. Like, How quickly could you get a god walking amongst mere mortals? You know, you load up a character and immediately you have access to loads of skill tomes, all the sweets you need, all the drunk you need, all the party items you need. You know, you just have it all. You've got loads of account-wide achievements already done, and then you just smash it and see how quickly you can get it. I've always loved that idea, and there's this guy, as I say, that did like world completion. I don't know why we're talking about that. What were you saying? You were saying about, that you don't... You don't like to level alts, right?
Yeah.
What was the last alt you leveled?
It was my Ellie, which I really want to get into. I'm thinking about kind of like switching, not switching my main entirely, but just
switching main from Guardian to Elementalist.
But
is there an Elementalist?
But I just want something that requires more, I don't know, movement,
interactivity.
Yeah, you know, I feel like I get really lazy with my Guardian. And I just kind of, like, sometimes I'll actually pop my virtues and I'll get into it. But then after a while, it's just like, you just kind of just press 1, 2, 3, 1, 2.
Especially
1, 2,
on guard
3.
with staff. It's just like, yeah, press skill 1. I've tagged everything ever.
Yeah, such boring ranged weapons on the guard. Oh my gosh.
Well, Ellie's not that great. Well, I don't know.
I think I don't know. I just need a change in play style because I feel like right now, like I love my guard and I always end up going back to it. But I want to try something new. You know,
if you want to try something really like interesting, I would definitely say NG has got so many weird things. They've got like a trait that means when you equip a kit, it casts a random spell, and that spell changes depending on the kit that you've equipped. And the engineer, just like by its role in this game, it's like got the mechanics of every other class all in itself. So you can play around with stealths, and you can play around with pulls and various different conditions and stuff. Like it's just got so much built into it, and they have all these weird little traits that just do a bazillion different effects.
Yeah.
Like NG is cool, man. NG can do a lot. And for ranged, people think it's spammy, and I think it's spammy too, but a grenade engineer, when you trait for it, you know they have 1500 range, right? And they do immense pressure. They have incredible damage. You can go like max glass on like an engineer with grenades, and I know it's cookie cutter and standard, but it's so fun to just stand on the other side of the world, like miles away in the back of the dungeon room, and be doing more damage than people who are like meleeing up there, just because you're loading up so much condies. It's crazy.
You're gonna make me try this out then.
You gotta try NG. NG is so fun. Just at least try a nade spec first, and then do loads of crazy, and they've got so many like might stacking techniques and weird turret plays using blast finishes. It's cool. NG's so cool. Like, what's their other one? The toolkit, where you can like pull people in from 1200 range, and they can't even friggin' like see you to get away from it. Oh, I love it. But yeah, what
the tower. I mean, pretty much that was pretty much it. I mean, the tower. That was the update. Really.
I did want to talk to you about some stuff with the tower.
Yeah.
I've been fascinated. Okay, I want to like put you on like a do you know what the weakest link is? You're not gonna know, are you? You know what the weakest link is?
Of course. You are the weakest link. Goodbye.
Yes. Okay. I want to put you on the weakest link. And I want to just like quiz you about Guild Wars story, like your understand. Like I want to just put you alone up there and be like, all right, Mad Visual, would you care to tell everybody about the story of Guild Wars 2 and just see what you come up with? Like I'd love it. It would be so good.
No.
So what I want to ask you
instantly, pretty much. I need to watch your video for the 4th time.
This
remember
is the
it
thing.
again. Yeah.
This is the thing. You forget instantly. What do you know about the story of this patch?
Basically, Scarlet. Basically, Scarlet is, has been behind everything, and she reveals herself, and that's pretty much it. I mean, that's it. That's the story. Like, there's not much there. Like, in a nutshell. I mean, yes, you have these conversations that you have with Casimir and Marjorie and stuff like that, but that's like, it has nothing to do with anything. Like, it's just story and conversations between each other. But at the core of it, you got the story bit when you beat the dungeon, and that was it. And then she goes inside the portal, which looks like something like the Thaumanova reactor, because the Thaumanova reactor has something to do with like reality and portals and stuff like that, right? So I'm thinking maybe something like that is going on. Maybe there's like a bigger picture to it, but really, like, I mean, it's supposed to tie up the story, like, but for a guy who's like barely, like, I love lore, like I play games based on lore, and I would hate games based on lore, but with Guild Wars 2, I just tend to have it in the back of my mind because it's never right there in front of me. It's never like epic, like, oh man, this is gonna happen, and I want to so look for the next patch. Like, people misunderstand, like, I'm really into lore, but this is just not my thing. I don't know, like, I'm just not into it.
Well, you mentioned the fractals there.
Yeah.
You aware that's probably what the next patch is going to be about?
Yeah, it sure looks like it. Man, that picture looks amazing. I really hope it's like really good. Like a really good patch.
So I mean, is this something more along the lines of you're looking for? You've got the setup. You know the setup that the Thorman overreactor is potentially, and I do leave that as potentially implicated in all of this. And now we're going to get to see that fractal, what happened there, why the reactor blew up.
Oh, but what is the story, by the way?
Well, that's the thing. We haven't got all the pieces just yet. Well, like you can. Go on.
But what do you think about the story? Like, what happened? What happened? Is there anything else that I missed? I'm pretty sure I missed some little itsy bitsy.
I think you can line up the timelines, and like Scarlet wasn't really even about around the time of. Well, she could have been about around the time of the reactor explosion. I was reading a Reddit thread where people were talking about it because I think that it could be somehow related, but I also agree with a lot of people that say this should sort of just be its own separate story. And the other thing you've got to remember is we had the choice of the Thorman overreactor or the Abaddon fractal. So it's like, if the Thorman overreactor is somehow implicated in Scarlet and all this living story, does that mean that also the Abaddon fractal could have been too? And if, you know, and whether we'll ever know whether it was just sort of glued on together at the end.
Maybe we'll find out what happens with what Scarlet knows about Keith in the Thorman overreactor, if there's some type of tie-in there or something like that.
Yeah, like, so we could be seeing this stuff with the story. I do think that, see, why I'm interested in asking you about it is because this patch gave us that cutscene. Did you watch the cutscene or skip it?
No, of course I watched it. Yeah.
So, and that cutscene felt to me a lot like ArenaNet trying to give the story to people who didn't want to look for it. You know, you've said this before, that you want to be enthused by it, but it's never in your face. This is them putting it in your face. This is them. Everything we heard in that cutscene was pretty much all a given anyway. But they put it there, and it was for people to, you know, hopefully get behind it a bit more. And I'm wondering what you took away from that cutscene when you saw it.
When I saw it, I felt like the build-up towards it wasn't there. So when I saw it, it was just like, oh, okay. That's it. Like, I was just like, oh, she's behind everything. Oh my gosh. Woo! Like, I just didn't care at that point. That's the thing.
Yeah, I think the crate thing was done quite poorly as well. Like, the whole point, the fact they did another alliance was bad on its own, but they could have, you know, redeemed it somewhat by really diving into the thought process behind the crate and why they have decided to team up with the Nightmare Corps. And it was established, right, well, the Nightmare Corps are basic, and Scarlet, by extension, are offering them the final summoning of their profits to return. And this should have got the crate really excited, but they established that was the story, but then there was nothing more with it. Did you know, like, what do you know about that element of this patch?
Nothing.
Like, nothing. Like, you were just given a final boss, right?
Yeah, exactly. What do we have to search for that? Like, do we have to like search every nook and cranny and read every page that's on the floor in order to find what that is?
No,
like,
see, ArenaNet have been vague about it, and I'm not sure whether it's in a good way, because it summoned, and what's it called? I think it's called a toxic crate. So the fact it's toxic just makes you think it's just something that's come from Scarlet rather than some ancient entity that existed outside of the Toxic Alliance. It's a toxic crate. It's also constantly evolving, and you can draw parallels there. Like, Scarlet's whole thing is she hates, like, her fate being predetermined, and she constantly wants to be evolving and adapting, and she's even got this quote where she says something like, I fully believe no race no system can perpetuate itself indefinitely. It always has to be changing and evolving to survive. And now we have this thing that was probably created by Keith that is constantly evolving. So you can draw connections like that. But then when it dies, you know, it says, I can't be the last of my kind, I'm dead. Like, people don't even know whether that was a real prophet or just a machination of Scarlet or what. And not in a good, this is a mystery way, I feel like. It's more of just a muddy way. So,
like, it was kind of just pieced in there. Like, oh, guess what? It was Scarlet the whole time.
Yeah, and I got to say, I'm a little bit more interested. I think some of her lines of voice acting were really cool in this patch. Like, some of it just annoyed me, but some of it was pretty good. Like, the way she was reading it.
I think the voice acting is always on point for me. I have no problem with the voice acting. And I really like the voice acting for her. But her character design kind of throws me off. Am I the only one?
No,
because she looks really good in the concept art. And I'm like, oh, wow, that's really cool. Did they redesign her? And I look at her again. She looks really ugly. Maybe it's because a lot of some of the face stuff for Savari.
You're being racist. You're being racist.
For the Savari are pretty ugly. I'm just saying. I have
Racism,
a Savari, and I
VisualWood
made her
podcast.
incredibly beautiful. Well, not incredibly beautiful. I just don't have those little marks on her face. See, like Scarlet has like a weird shape. You don't see that weird shape? Like it's just a weird shape on her face, dude. Like even Traherne looked good. Traherne looked good, and he had those like little cuts on his face, which was fine. But Scarlet, I don't know why, man. Just looks kind of ugly, man. I don't know.
I'm shaking my head here. I'm so disappointed in your fragrant racism towards the Silvarius race. How terribly superficial of you.
Oh yes, wow. Superficial.
There were some other little things in the story. Did you see the bit where Lady Casimir is walking along? You notice also how Lady Casimir and Marjorie Delacroix were sort of the poster boys of this patch, right? Or the poster girls. And then, oh, you can't say poster girls, can you? But they were like the things of this patch, and then they didn't really do anything. They were just sort of there to experience it with us. But there was one bit where Lady Casimir was like pricked by a thorn. And you know how when we beat Scarlet, Scarlet was sort of like, oh, everything's still going according to plan, and like left, yeah?
Yeah.
I sort of feel like maybe that thing with her being pricked by the thorn, she's going to be corrupt or killed or something. I would like her to be killed. That would be cool. Because then that would mean big things for Marjorie's character, especially if, you know, like they're lesbians or whatever. That would be cool. You know, that would be real.
What?
Oh, have we not talked about this before?
No, we haven't.
These two characters, Marjorie Delacroix and Lady Casimir, they're lesbians.
You serious?
No, I'm not serious, but a lot of people do think it's because they're always like, "Oh, my love."
I thought you were being serious for a second.
And hugging. Well, no, but it could be.
Well, they could just be tight. They could just be tight. I mean, I don't care either way, but like,
I think they're just tight.
I thought Casimir was a god or something. Am I wrong for saying that?
What?
No, not like the one I saw there, but the name. It sounded like a god from Guild Wars 2 Legends or something like that.
Cormyr is one of the gods.
Oh, that could be it. That could be it.
And Casimir is
I was watching an animation about that. Yeah, Cormyr.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
And that's probably why I got confused. And I was like, Casimir? I was like, hold on, what? Like
yeah, no, she was just one of the girls with us through the patch. But anyway, she was pricked by a thorn. Maybe that's got something to do with the plot. I'm also curious what happened when you went in the little pods as well. Because, did you know they have unique dialogue there that reflects on your personal story?
Really?
Yes. And this is amazing! Well done! Like, this is so good, right? This is the first time the living story has, like, properly changed somehow. This is really good. This is exactly what they need to do, right? The decisions you made through your personal story have never meant a damn thing. And now they're finally acknowledging it. Like, those pods you go into... If you're going in alone, Scarlet will taunt you about past decisions you've made and stuff. So, you're a Norn, right?
Yeah.
Give me your decisions. What did you do?
You mean at the very beginning, those choices I made?
Yeah, do you remember?
Did you
have anything to do with a horn?
Did I do the... No, I did. I had the rival, I think, for my Norn.
Okay, well, I don't know what all of them are, because obviously there's so many options. But, like, if you were the Norn that had that storyline to do with the horn, and you get the choice at the end, or do you want to destroy it or keep it, whatever, Scarlet will talk to you about that. And depending on the order that you pick, you know that a character dies every single order. I'm still coughing. Every single character, every single order you go in, a character dies.
Yeah,
that's it reflects there too. So I was in the Order of Whispers. That means if I do enough of these, eventually I will be fighting Tybalt. Right, Tybalt. That's one character most people like. If I was a part of the Dermond Priory, it would be that other girl. If I was a part of the Vigil, it would have been Vorgal. I hope I'm getting their names right. But it would have been these characters, and they come back. And that is so good. Like, it doesn't mean anything really big for the patch, but for the first time, it is looking like it actually mattered what I did all that time ago, and ArenaNet are honouring those old things we said. And it also means that you can see some cool stuff too, like There's a, you know, we were talking about the Thorman overreactor.
Yeah.
There's this big theory that you can go into about how maybe the Thorman overreactor is related to Scarlet, and is related to the steam creatures and stuff that we see that sometimes appear with Scarlet and have been here before Scarlet was a part of the story and stuff. Anyway, that ties a lot into an Asuran quest to do with the Infinity Ball, right? Like this specific storyline. And Scarlet says to players who did that in this patch, she says, "Oh, why did you ever stop looking at the Infinity Ball? That was the only time I ever truly was interested in you." Like, and that's so good. That's like Arena.
I miss
saying,
all this stuff. Like, I'm so terrible at this. Is there anyone out there that's just like me? That's just like, this story stuff just passes you right by. Like, there's gotta be someone out there that's just as stupid as me. It's just like, I don't get it. I just don't get it. I just play through and I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah, but most people are like that, though, because most people get enthused by this game's lore, go absolutely crazy, explode with creativity. There was a phenomenal post on the forums recently where someone talked about how they should completely revamp the living story, and, you know, basically his whole thing was you need to destroy the Pact. But he basically was this person that was very enthused about the world and the lore, and everyone gets to that point. They get really high up and they just explode. They splooge creativity all over the devs. Everybody gets worked up about it. But then the devs never live up to it because they just want to keep pursuing stories that aren't already tied into the lore of the world. And like everybody peaks and then everybody drops off. And sadly, it's usually those who get most enthusiastic that disappear the quickest as well, because people have high highs, they have really low lows. That's the way it goes for most people. So no, you're not in the minority. I'm in the minority at the moment. Most people don't know or care about this story anymore because they had these cool ideas and then they never happened and they're gone. But I will not relent in saying the cool stuff that could continue to happen. What I'm saying, I'm going to stop now, but what I'm saying is I think we could have cool stuff in future with Living Story that actually references our personal story, which is good. A linking of the two, that's awesome because they've always been very separate. But yeah, what else have we got to talk about in the patch?
Dude, like, all right, I'll mention a few things just in case everyone, like, I know a lot of people listen to the show that just miss everything. If you complete the mayor achievement, you get a gas mask. You also can get some cool armor and weapons on the not trading post, the gem shop. There's also a tri-key chest that you can get some good minis and stuff from at the top of the tower. There's a new finisher, you know, Casimir and Marjorie's weapons. That's pretty much it. That's pretty much it for rewards, and everything about the patch really is just that tower. That's it, really. And I mean, we could also, you know, there's like a time limit, I guess you can say, for the tower.
Yeah, that's an interesting mechanic, right? There's that bar that's constantly going up on the top right-hand corner. See, it's also kind of weird because like it's a bar that's going up. And, you know, we don't really get to see the metrics on it, so it could easily just be a timer.
Yeah,
it's faked, you know.
Because no one's doing it.
Yeah, and it just keeps going up anyway. It could easily be that. But, you know, if they do it by, like, a server-by-server thing, so, like, Emery Bay loves the tower, and they're always in it, and they're climbing it, and they're farming it, and they're killing all the champions, and they're having parties in it. Emery Bay loves the tower. But Tarnished Coast... They all think it's terrible. So Emery Bay finishes the tower first, and Emery Bay gets next patch quicker. That'd be pretty cool.
Oh yeah, like we talked about last time, right? Like if we could defend the bridge, then you know they'll make the bridge to cross into the Tengu land. Oh, that'd be pretty cool. That would be so awesome that they would put something like that in. People would be so dedicated to doing that, and that'd probably be one of the greatest moments in Guild Wars 2 right there. People like just sitting there protecting it, and you know whoever server can get it first. Like no one will be in World v World, I bet. Like just nobody. It'll be just like a ghost land. But yeah, I mean that's pretty much it. But you said you had some topics, right?
Yeah. Well, they're not massive topics. I've already talked about some of the lore stuff. I saw a very interesting suggestion about the home instance that I thought was just really good. A really simple thing that can go in. I like simple things that have big effects on the game. So, you know, we've talked about home instance a few times before, and we've had, like, tiny ideas of stuff they could do to make it better, you know, player housing and stuff. What do you think? This is not my idea at all, but I just thought it was really good, and I wanted to, voice it to people at large. What do you think about the idea of, how annoying it is when you first log in and everyone's parked at Lion's Arch and it takes 45 minutes to get through the loading screen?
Yeah.
That's annoying? Well, what about the idea of, at character select, you always have an option to go to, you start playing in your home instance?
Of course. Absolutely. Absolutely, that would be great, but they would have to redesign the home instance first.
Well, no, they wouldn't even have to do that, would they?
It's ugly. It's ugly.
So it's a much shorter loading time.
Well, yeah, I guess, yeah. I mean, I'm asking too much, but yeah.
Like, I just thought that was great. I was like, look, these are the simple little things that people just need to think about. It's so basic, right? Basic.
And on their way out, they can mine all the nodes that they have, because we have all these nodes, and I have not been in there since I had my candy corn node.
Do you know when I mine those nodes? I mine those nodes when I've gone to the home instance for something else. That's how you do those. Like, I never think about it, but then I go in there, I'm like, oh, I want some footage of the home instance. Oh, yeah, there's these. Clink, 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 clink. Go get my free skill point. Yay,
I hate that there's people in there as well. Like, just random people. There's random people in the Norn home instance. And it's a big, like, I don't have a room. I have,
Norn is so bad.
I have like a balcony. Like, I'm like, what is this?
It's what like is a this? Dormitory.
And when during the story, like, they're in my home instance, and I'm like, why are you guys in my home? This is not really a home instance. Like, it's not, I don't know, it just, the way they did it, it's just not home. It's not home-ish. I don't get it. Like, if you want, like, a private place for people to call their own, you have to be able to customize it, or just have a generic place. I don't know. For Norn, they have a very Nornish house or area that is closed off, and has people that you want in there, not like just random merchants. Like,
why is privacy so important to you here? Like, what are you doing in your home instance?
You
bring in random girls you meet online in there. Oh, hey, let's talk to each other in here. Oh no, there's NPCs. Oh, they're eavesdropping.
Men, hey, whatever I can get at this point.
Jesus. Wow. But yeah, that was something pretty cool.
VisualWood.
Another thing, okay, hold on, you've fallen out of my... Another thing that I thought I'd mention too is Matt and I on my channel used to cover like lots of cheap games and deals and stuff that were going on.
The Daily Deal!
Welcome to the Daily Deal! And one thing that I thought was particularly relevant, Guild Wars 2 is actually on the Humble Bundle at the moment store, and it's like ridiculously cheap.
Yep.
Yeah. So it's only there if you are like in the States, unless you like mask your IP or something, go through a virtual network to get to the website. Which is kind of weird that they're not trying to do it for people, in Europe or whatever. But it is there, and that was something else I wanted to mention too. And it just keeps coming. It's brilliant. We also talked about like legendary rings and backpacks and stuff.
Yeah.
I had the greatest idea. We were like, okay, so our discussion before was, yeah, these things are cool. They're going to be cosmetic. But how the hell do they do these things? With
visual effects, right.
Right, without just making people little glowing suns or whatever. What do you think about this, right? I said, like, the footsteps thing. Dude, you've played Thief?
The first one? Way back in the days?
No. In Guild Wars 2. Have you played a Thief in Guild Wars 2?
Oh, a Thief. Oh, I thought you meant the game. Yeah, I played a Thief.
Yeah? What happens when you dodge as a thief?
You do... Oh, I see where you're going. You do this little blurry thing. Right.
Boom. Yeah, so you get this gear. You get, like, rings, amulets, all this stuff, like... Or maybe it's just the rings, just the amulets. But they change your dodge animation. So you get the ring of kudzu, and you fart rainbows and unicorns when you... That is the right bow, isn't it? I think it is.
No. The Dreamer is the unit.
That's the Dreamer.
Yeah.
Amulet of the Dreamer, right? Or whatever.
Kudzu is that ugly little plant stuff.
Yeah.
It's not ugly. It's just I hate mutation when it comes to, like, if a wood should not be growing something out of it. Like, I get super weird with that type of stuff.
Wow.
like mildew and stuff, like stuff growing off things that shouldn't be there.
Oh, what is that thing? There's this thing called, it begins with P. It's like apophlia or something. It's like this irrational fear people have of like this moldy stuff that grows on people's skin.
Oh.
And it's like,
gosh, no.
Oh, what is that? What is that? What is that? It's this thing. I'm going to have to link you after it and freak you out.
Oh,
and maybe
no.
people can look in the description for it. It's so good, man. It's kind of weird. All right, anyway, yeah, but they could do that, right? So you have your amulets that when you dodge, you know, you're now shooting rainbows out behind you or leaving a little horsey behind that prances or something. But do you know how far you could take that as well? Think about sheath and unsheath animation. Changes that. Jumping, just friggin' jumping, you know, as you land, if you've got like a certain ring equipped, it like does like a little, I don't know, earthquake effect or something on the floor as you jump. Like every single animation in the game, they could just like have a legendary armor or trinket like change.
Yeah, that would be pretty cool. And you're like, it would be cool if you could customize these things as well. Like what if they did add a ring? Like what if they have multiple rings, right? And you get to choose which effect that you want. And you choose this ring that had something that changed your armor, right? And then, but you also have the Dragonaut, right? So to do that, you can switch between the effects.
Yeah.
And even if like they should just add it, even if you don't have multiple effects, like just add it in. Like you could turn your footsteps off if you want. You could turn this off. You could turn everything off if you want. Like that would be pretty cool. I would like to see something like that.
Okay, and think about this too, right? What's your favorite skill on a Guardian?
It's as a weapon, or it doesn't matter.
Any skill at all.
I really like the greatsword spin and the grab one as well when it throws out the chains and pulls them. I like the animation.
Okay, so the spin one is like kind of bluey, right?
Yeah.
What about if you got some bit of gear or something that allowed you to change the color of that to like a red?
Jeez. I mean, how would that? Well, I guess that would work with like with everyone. Like Necros, they have this dark greenish color. Like you change that to like pink or something like that. Like that would be pretty cool.
Like I always thought they should sell stuff like that, like skill skins on the gem store. You know what I mean? Like, and maybe skill skins don't work in PvP if they're concerned about that kind of thing. But for PvE, yeah, skill skins. Do you know how much I would pay to be to have like a red ride the lightning animation? So it's like fiery lightning coming out behind me or something on my Ellie. An incredible amount.
Dude, these are really good ideas that they should put in. I mean, they really should put these in, because I could imagine like. That could change up the way my Guardian looks totally from everyone else. Like, you no longer look like everyone else.
Right.
It'll be great because a lot of people complain, like, even I love my Necro, and I would have wanted to get the Bifrost for it, right? But as a Necro, like, with the staff, don't you know, like, it turns into, like, a scythe when you use the skills?
Yeah, as you auto attack or whatever.
Right,
yeah,
and it's still
like
green. It's still, like, darkish, blackish green, like... What's the point of that? Like, why didn't they change it to like rainbows? Like, what? Why? Why did they keep it green? It looks weird with that on there, you know? Like, so yeah, that'd be totally great. Like, you have the Bifrost, and then you have like the armor, the certain armor that has this effect that causes rainbows for your thing, and that would be great.
And that lets people like keep customizing and be interested in cosmetic progression. Well, after they've got like their perfect armor and all their slots filled, you know what I mean? Like
this needs to be in the game. This needs to be in the game. Oh my gosh, this needs to be in the game. No, oh dude.
All right,
I'm so hyped right now. Yeah, go ahead.
One more topic as well. Okay. Just sort of more of an FYI thing. It's sort of on the expansion discussion again. But did you know NCSoft released their third quarter of the year earnings report?
Ooh, this is interesting. All right.
Yeah, so they talked about, you know, how much money they've been getting from the games. I think Guild Wars 2 is down a bit for the amount of revenue that they're getting, but, you know, that's to be expected.
How much? What percentage?
Like, I think I read it was like 15% or something. I don't have it up in front of me.
That's a lot of money. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, but, you know, they're still raking in like 2 million or something. Like, a lot of money. Compared to especially other MMOs that launch like in an hour, a year down the line, like, it's doing quite well. Basically, though, Guild Wars 2 sort of leveled out and they're just expecting it to gradually rise. Why I'm bringing this up is... And, like, they've talked about how, like, Wild Star's coming out in the spring and stuff. Yeah. Why I bring it up is because it's usually in these reports, you get even the vaguest indication of whether they're going to have like a big boxed product drop or anything.
Yeah.
You know, like you would know if an expansion was going to be coming. Like long before, when ArenaNet was still saying when it's ready for Guild Wars 2, you could look at the NCSoft earning reports and they'd be like, because they have to say to their shareholders, yeah, we're expecting a lot of money coming in roughly around this time in the year, right? Because Guild Wars 2 was going to launch. So you could always know generally when it was coming. And the same goes for expansions and stuff, but it's a wasteland on that earnings report. It's just, yeah, Guild Wars 2's earning us money. We're happy with it. We're expecting it will get the same amount of money as it currently is for a long time. It will maybe grow a bit because of frequent updates. Nothing significant on the horizon. And, you know, so for a lot of people who are saying maybe we'll see an expansion, 2014 is the expansion year for Guild Wars 2 is something I believe I've heard you say.
Dude, it has to be. Yes, it has to be. If it's not, then I really fear for Guild Wars 2, man.
Well, you look at this earning report, and that's sort of the news that's come from it. And there won't be an expansion in 2014. It's still, basically, we haven't decided what we're doing. Why?
This day, it's been a year, though. It's been a year. What? All right, how long did it take Guild Wars 1 to make an expansion? A year, right? Or 6 months? Was it 6 months?
They had 50 employees that produced both Factions and Nightfall within a year.
What are they doing?
And now they have 300 employees. And you can't. The thing is, it's not apathy. It's a huge product they've created, and there's a lot of moving pieces. And I can only begin to understand how difficult it would be. More employees doesn't mean that they're gonna, you know, everything's magically gonna start happening. But at this, and you also have to consider, after launch, it was like all engines on Halloween stuff. Then it was all on the Fractals initially dropping, then Winter's Day. It was we're 9 months away from when they originally were like, look, let's go for this living story thing. We're maybe 5 months away from when they really started nailing it down and went for the 2 weekly stuff. So, you know, they've had 5 months to A, get feedback on how Living Story's going, and B, use that feedback to decide if they're going for an expansion. So it seems like it's a really long period of time, but I can understand how they're still in the ship. But they can't be for much longer. I just, why can't they come to the conclusion that they need an expansion? And if internally they have, say it to us. Well, why wouldn't you say it to us? You know?
It seems like what they want to aim to do is make a really big Living Story patch. Instead of calling it an expansion, they're just working on a really big Living Story patch that's going to be for free for everyone. That's what I think they're thinking of doing. But the thing is, with that, you have to put something there that allows people to do something after the fact of Living Story. You can't just have Living Story be what people log in to do, because it's not that good. It's not good enough. It's not good enough to keep people's attention. It's not good enough a story for people to grasp and do stuff with. At least not for me. And you know, I really think Guild Wars 2 would be in a different position than it is right now if they launched an expansion and changed a lot of the stuff. Because people, you know, look at it again. They're like, oh my gosh, all those people who've quit or whatever like that. Just like, okay, well, they're changing a bunch of stuff. People look at Diablo 3, right? A lot of people stopped playing Diablo 3 when it came out. Am I right? I bought it.
Yeah, that's a good
I bought it. And a lot of people stopped playing it. Now they're thinking about removing the auction house, and they're coming out with a new expansion, right? BlizzCon just announced it.
Dude, how good is Blizzard been lately? Blizzard have done so much awesome stuff.
A lot of people think that they haven't, but for some like Hearthstone is a success. Their new Dota game, or they're not calling it a Dota game, they're calling it a hero brawler. That might be a success too.
There's a new WoW expansion was just announced. That's
why
with
I'm housing. You know, a lot of people don't care about housing for Guild Wars 2, but like, you know, housing. You know, that's what people because they're trying to go against WildStar. WildStar is going to be a contender for WoW, definitely. Hopefully WildStar is profitable. I don't want any game to really fail. I like competition. Maybe Guild Wars 2 will step up their game, you know. But I mean, hopefully one of these games is good, because I kind of really want to dive into another MMO again.
That's probably a good segue into the general game section.
Yes.
Right? I mean, I didn't really have any more.
That's pretty much
topics. So yeah.
Yeah, you said you had a topic for.
Oh, and yeah, for other games, we've got a topic as well, actually. That's pretty funny.
Yeah, you're just loads of topics today.
Well,
Look at
okay,
you.
no. So let me ask you first, because again, I feel like I've been talking too much. What have you been playing aside from Guild Wars 2 this week?
I have been all right. So I finished. Actually, I finished a little of Crisis 3. Right. I got this new graphics card. I got the GTX 780. Right, and I want to test it out. And I got. I've had Crisis 3. I wanted to test out to see how the graphics were. Right, because that was supposedly one of the best looking games. And it would look pretty decent. It seems like there's always, you have to get mods to get really those textures and stuff like that to get a little bit higher, because you know, as you look at stuff, it still kind of look a little muddy there, because you know you're making it for consoles as well, so that kind of holds back a lot of
the past soon.
Yeah, well, not really. I mean, consoles can barely get up to, well, I wouldn't say they can't go up to 1080p, but they're just getting up there to 1080p.
Yeah,
like they're
man.
really like some of the games that are coming out now, like they even have to patch Call of Duty. Like Call of Duty out of the box is 720p. What the hell is that?
And
What
did
the
you
hell
see
is
how
that?
like most people reviewing that were like, oh, you can clearly see the difference between the, because on Xbox
No.
One it was 720 and on PS4 it was announced as 1080, and everyone's like, oh, you can see the difference, and then it turned out it had to be patched anyway, so it just made everyone look stupid. Everyone that was reviewing it and saying that there was a visual fidelity difference, nope.
No, not really. Not really. I mean, they've added some more effects and stuff like that, and this is, I'm no PC master race, because I love consoles, and I played
Hail Gavin.
I played 360 for years. I mean, years. I had a PS3, but I never really played online with it. I usually just got it for Demon's Souls, you know, Uncharted, those good releases. And I still haven't played Infamous 2, and I need to play that before. Even though you don't need it to play.
That's why you're like a
Second Son.
superhero, aren't you? A superhero in
Yeah,
the city.
I really enjoy the story for Infamous. I don't know how good Infamous 2 was, but Infamous 1, I really enjoyed it. Even though it sometimes it wasn't there. Sometimes the story was a little shortish, but it's still like the ending just really wrapped everything up really nicely.
I thought the second one did do well, but it's just weird to me the idea of a superhero game which isn't tied to like Marvel or DC.
Mm-hmm.
Like that just seems so odd to me. I'm like, how does that even work? Do you get to pick your own powers with it? Like, because it's quite, isn't it? Aren't you like quite?
Well, this new one, you're gonna have different powers. For the old one, it was electricity, and it was either dark electricity or light electricity, basically,
So
depending
like
on how evil you were. Yeah, but this one, you're gonna have multiple powers. You're gonna have there's two that were announced. There is that smoke fire thing that looks so good on the PS4. Like the graphics look really good, and then they have the neon thing.
Neon thing?
Yeah, the neon power. I don't know. They haven't really showed much about it. They showed like a little snippet of a cutscene, and that's pretty much it. But it looks really good. Also, I've been playing a little bit of Batman Origins. I tend to, between my work when I render and edit, you know, I spend like a couple hours a day playing that one game that I need to catch up because I have a huge backlog. And I did the Humble Bundle, right? And I got
which was so good. Oh my
so
god,
good.
that Humble Bundle.
It's probably still going on now, guys. You might want to cop that because you get Batman 1 and 2, which is Arkham Asylum and Arkham City, Game of the Year editions. Like, it's so good just for that, for $5. Come on, like, ridiculous.
I've got the full list here.
Ridiculous. Yeah. And then since I got the GTX 780, Nvidia was having this deal for the new Batman Origins, Black Flag, Assassin's Creed, which I play, even though the story has kind of fell off for me. I still play it because I just enjoy it.
Everyone's like, "Oh, you're just pirates. That's it. It's like no more
Desmond.
What's the name of the machine? Yeah, no more Desmond or any of that. It's just lol, yo ho ho."
And the revelation was kind of like too as well. Like the ending for Desmond, it was just like, oh come on, like I don't, all those guys who only care about the assassin part of the game and don't care anything about the Desmond part, forget you, all right? You're the reason why I have this sucky game to play as soon as it comes out, because it's like they focus more on the assassin part, and I I cared about the story.
That is such a risk. Yeah, like I think that was definitely a franchise that was really good with story. And like there was so one point at the end of those games where there was like you get to the end and there's always like a huge revelation. It's like what?
Yeah.
You know, always blow your mind, always looking for more. But there's this risk where you get too many games, and in the end the story.
Yeah, it became Call of Duty. It became Call of Duty and released them pretty much every year. Is it every year or every 2 years? Seems about every year.
It's been yearly, hasn't it? I'm pretty sure it's been yearly. Yeah. And that's the thing. Like that's why I'm not interested in the new Halo stuff. Like Halo originally was like a trilogy that they had sorted.
Oh, the books were good.
Then they were going to do a second Halo trilogy, which was Halo 4 through 6. But the second Microsoft, and I wasn't too into Halo 4 anyway, but the second Microsoft were like, oh no, it's just going to go on indefinitely. I'm like, I'm wiping my hands with it. Like, it's got such a good story and universe, but if they have no end in sight, then how are they ever going to tell a good, you know?
I heard they really messed up with Halo 4. Me and my friend haven't finished it yet, but I see that's a game. Dragon Age, big lore fan. Halo, big lore fan, right? And I read the books. I play the games just for the story. Well, no, I play a lot of online. I played a lot of Halo 3. Holy crap, we talked about it last time. Yeah. And I heard it's really bad. And so far, we played through half of the story, me and my friend, and we still haven't finished it yet. And we're like, what the heck is this? You know, it's I don't think they follow the Halo Bible, because they have like a Halo Bible that they're supposed to follow.
Well, here's the thing. The story's okay in it, but the campaign's like super boring to play. I don't know. I just felt like it was a lot more boring than other. Like there was one really memorable moment where you get on like this big mammoth machine. Like that was cool, but a lot of it felt really boring and bland and just running through Forerunner kind of architecture, and that was it through that.
Well, Halo Reach was kind of a bum for me.
The peak of the Halo in terms of like campaigns, Halo the franchise peaked at Halo 2 for me. Like that was such a long campaign with so many missions and so many different angles. And they fleshed out the universe so much in that. Like it was like, okay, we got Halo 1, and then Halo 2 goes like boom, and it opens up with like a council session within the Covenant and all this stuff with the Arbiter. Halo 2 was great, but then like after Halo 3, they just sort of the campaigns got really short. ODST was great because it was mostly about the campaign with Firefight 2. And then Halo 4's got another really short campaign that was meant to be about the multiplayer. I don't know, they just favour the multiplayer more now in that franchise than they do over the campaign. And the story I think is still okay, but it was just a bit boring, I don't know, for me. Yeah. That wasn't the nail in the coffin, but the fact it's just going to go indefinitely is.
Yeah. Of course, that's pretty much it. Those are my games I've been playing. I'm starting on that, and of course, obviously it's good. Batman is always good. I heard a little bit bad stuff about Origins, but it seems pretty good so far. And the voice acting, of course, you got for people who don't know, I told my wife, I blew my mind's wife, my wife's mind.
Whoa.
I'm
your mind's wife.
My wife's mind yesterday because she didn't know who played Joker. It's actually the guy who played Luke Skywalker, and I was like, she was like, what? And I showed her like a clip of how he
Mark Hamill,
and it was great. It's great to see her like go geeky on it and stuff like that. But Troy Baker is the one who took over, and he's pretty good, really good. He does so many voices. He's ridiculous.
I saw a clip of him at Comic-Con, I think it was,
reading
some big
monologue?
Convention. Yeah, and he was reading it.
New York Comic-Con, yeah.
Everyone went ballistic hearing his reading of how he delivered it because people were a little bit worried.
You know, he was the guy in Last of Us. He was the guy in BioShock Infinite. He was the guy in everything, dude. Every game that has come out, he's been in.
That's good. That's
the main character.
For a voice artist. That's so good.
It is so good. I can't imagine how successful his career is going to be after like this past year. Like, it's ridiculous now. He's basically the next big voice actor at this point.
Yeah. Who's the other guy? Who's the guy that did Ritlock Brimstone?
That's Steve Bloom. He does a lot. Steve Bloom, a lot of anime stuff. Yeah. Every time I watch an anime, he's always like some type of supporting character. Or then you watch like something like Cowboy Bebop, and you see he's like this, the main character and stuff like that. It's great seeing him in there.
And you know that Scarlett is a big name voice actress as well.
It's not Tara Long, is it?
I think it's Tara Strong, right?
Tara Strong, yeah, Tara Strong.
Yeah, the girl that did Timmy in Fairly Odd Parents.
Yeah,
and like a bazillion billion every.
She's
things.
ridiculous, man. Powerpuff Girls as well.
They spent a lot of money on her voiceovers then for Scarlet. They wanted people to really like Scarlet.
It was good. It was good.
Yeah.
I mean, man, like Tara Strong, dude.
Why is that woman that was in King of Queens appearing on Google Image? That's not her, is it? No, it's definitely
No.
No.
You know what's cool? Kate Beckett from Castle. You ever watch Castle?
No, I've never seen Castle.
Castle was an amazing show with Nathan Fillion, the guy from Firefly. Oh gosh, it's so good, guys. If you want a good show, it's Castle, dude. It's amazing, amazing.
What's
Kate
Castle
Beckett,
even about?
It's like he's a crime novelist, and he ends up helping Kate Beckett, which is a detective, solve murders. And it's like half funny, half really serious, story-driven stuff. Like, it's really good. Really good. Really good. And it doesn't stop. Like, it's always a high point. But yeah, what about you? What you been playing? Jeez.
Sorry, as you were saying that, I had like half an ear on you, and the other half was while I
looking at Tara Strong.
Yeah, with various
Do you need
other
a minute?
words in the Google thing. We've got so you were talking about it earlier. I almost segued into it. BioShock.
Yeah.
That's basically the big one I played this week. That was outside of DLC.
The new DLC.
Yeah, I played Burial at Sea. So we had kind of different opinions on BioShock as well, right? Like that game exploded my brain in all the most beautiful of ways.
The story was good. The story was good, even though I needed an explanation a little bit at the end. It was a little wonky for me.
I think most people did.
Yeah, but the story was tight, but the combat wasn't good at all. Like,
I don't agree with that. I don't agree. There are people out there that are like, oh, BioShock, it's got a good story, but it's more of an RPG. It doesn't have solid shooter mechanics.
It's not 10 out of 10 either. It's not 10 out of 10.
Yeah, but I don't think most people are saying that. They're just enthusiastic about
yes. All these reviewers are, oh my gosh, BioShock Infinite it's the best thing ever. There's no problems with it. It is the perfect game. It's better than the first one, and blah blah blah. And people, it's like no. It's the same thing with Last of Us.
Really happened.
It has, and The Last of Us was the same thing. It's the same thing.
I don't know. I think
it's made by Naughty Dog and Uncharted. Uncharted was such good games, right? And I'm not gonna say they're perfect, but really, Last of Us had a good story. But when it came down to the combat and all that type of stuff, it kind of fell off a little bit. It was like ladder after ladder. Oh, let's do a ladder. What's the point of the puzzles? What's the point of the ladder puzzles? There's no point. Anyways, go ahead. I could complain.
Well, I'm not
all day
playing
about
Last
that.
of Us. Mm-hmm. Because that sounds terrible now, apparently.
No, it's good. It's good. Good story.
No, but yeah, it was kind of cool because BioShock Infinite was an early release this year. Played it, loved it. Only went through it the once. It was cool to jump back into that game. It really was. It was a completely different setting. So it's in Rapture. It's set where the original games in the franchise were.
Right.
It's very short. That's the sad thing about it. I milked it for what it was worth. I didn't know it was going to be short, but I spent a long time playing it, just sort of walking around Rapture and listening to people. And like,
you have to. Like, I love those games where you just sit back and you just listen to all the audio tapes. I would stop what I'm doing, listen to the audio tapes, listen to the conversation before I attack enemies. Those are the games I get really in detailed with. Yeah.
Yeah, like and in because it's in Infinite's engine, like they draw so many comparisons between like Rapture and what's the name of the Columbia? They draw so many comparisons, right? So like the first thing, one of the earliest things you see in regular BioShock Infinite is like like the racism is a huge theme in that game, and like one of the first thing is you got the black guy shining the white dude's shoe, and he's like sneering down at him, and then you go to Rapture, and the first thing you see there is the exact same situation, except it's the black dude that's sat in the chair, and there's this white guy like groveling at his feet, and then you walk a little bit further forward, and there's like this gay couple hugging each other and looking out at like the ocean, but at the same time you're listening to all of the people in the population talking about Frank Fontaine versus Andrew Ryan, and all this cool stuff that one makes you think of the newest release, but also just sort of blends you perfectly back into what the original Bioshocks were all about. And, you know, you feel like you're in the 60s, just as how in Infinite you felt like you were in the, you know, the when was that set? The 1910s, I think? Or the first decade of the 1900s. Anyway, it was a really, really cool experience. And it pushed the main story forward a little bit more. I won't spoil it for people. But it was fun. It was kind of one of those things, like a lot of DLC these days. It's, you know, spend a tenner and get a new gun, you know, or spend a tenner, get 3 multiplayer maps.
No. It was short and sweet, is what you're saying.
Yeah, but this DLC, it was short, but it was just like playing a new game, you know, a short one, but playing something completely new, but also familiar at the same time.
How long was it?
I reckon if you're just sort of walk through and you don't look for audio tapes of that, like, and you listen to like Dr. Su Chong sort of notices the anomalies of Elizabeth creating tears between realities. It's so good. I don't know. I played it for maybe 4.5 hours over 2 days. I reckon it's a 2-hour experience for most people though. And
okay.
Like you get a new gun, you get a new plasmid in there. And apparently the way that they're doing it is like this is part 1, and there's going to be part 2 as well, which I'm hoping
they're
has
milking
got some...
that thing.
Well, yeah, maybe, but you know that's only 2 DLCs for a title, as compared to like Borderlands, for example, that's got like 6 in its first year. But like they're doing they're like, I'm hoping the next one is going to be like set in Paris or something, and it's got a lot to do with old Elizabeth. That'd be sweet. That'd be sick. Or like the space city that everyone wants. You know, like all this fan art and stuff. People are like, oh, what should the next Bioshock be about? First we were under the sea, now we're in the sky. Where will we be next? On the moon, or
like,
you know,
in the future, that would be quite spectacular. But I don't know if we're up to that
point. It can't be in the future. It can't be in the future. Future would be boring. Everybody does the future. But pick like a really cool decade from the 1900s, 1800s, really old timey. But sling it up into space, you know, basically make it Deep Space Nine or something. It might roam into Fallout territory there, because, you know, Fallout's very much, you know, post-apocalyptic future.
I was just about to mention that. I love... That's kind of why I fell in love with the first Bioshock in the first place, was because it kind of played on that feeling I had when I first played Fallout 3. Like, I was like, okay, I have my Xbox 360. This was way back in the days when Fallout 3 came out. I was like, I want a really good game to dive my teeth into, you know? I didn't play Oblivion. I didn't play any of those games yet. I bought Fallout 3, and I was just amazed. Like, that's the first time I played a game like that. Yeah. It was amazing. And that old oldie feeling, so good. So good.
I still want to do the New Vegas, like, Fallout 3 combination thing.
You still haven't done it yet?
Yeah, and that's news as well. Like, today, do you see that, like, there's basically been a new domain registered by Bethesda, and if you go there, it's a countdown, and, like, the date of the year is very close to the date of the most recent Fallout title. It looks like they're basically doing the next Fallout is going to be announced very soon. And that's what they do.
I hope it's different. I feel like they made some strides with Skyrim, but I feel like it's the same clunky mess that Bethesda always puts out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like sidewalking, you know, a lot of glitches.
Wait, sidewalking? Do you mean climbing up mountains?
No, you can walk sideways, but I think they got rid of that with Skyrim. That was back in the days with Oblivion and Fallout. Like, it's very clunky, and but it's fine because we love diving into all the lore and all the random encounters quests that you encounter, like, randomly during the world and stuff like that, and people come to kill you while you sleep. All those stuff is just that what makes the Bethesda game a Bethesda game. I felt like New Vegas was and I gotta say, I didn't play the crap out of Skyrim, which is kind of weird for me because I really loved Oblivion. I can't wait to actually see what they do with the new stuff. I really hope it's like something very different.
If you could pick an area of the States to have the new Fallout in, where would you choose?
Okay, so the last one was in what, like New York, right?
No, that was Fallout 3.
Nevada.
No, Fallout 3 was Washington, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And then Fallout New Vegas was like with the Mojave Desert and so forth. Yeah. I'm not that great with American geography.
Man.
Like, a lot of people maintain it would have to be
New
in
York.
America.
New York would probably be a good spot, or California. You'll see like the Hollywood sign all messed up and junk. That'd be pretty interesting.
I guess that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah. I mean, it's been done before, but like, you know.
What about where you're living now?
What, Georgia? Georgia, we don't really have any like landmarks that would make it a thing, but I would love it. Yeah.
What about like cool. Miami, then?
Miami. That would be something. Surrounded by water. It would have to be by the beach, and there would have to be like secret islands made of garbage out there, and you can take a boat. Yeah, then you could take the boat to it. That would be pretty cool. You could do that.
See, I've always liked the idea of it being obviously like in the UK or something, but I think there's pretty solid reasons why Fallout as a
everyone
franchise
would have to have a British accent and be on.
Well, yeah, because it's all about like Americanisms, and you know, I don't know. It's just very tied into that nation. I think that whole franchise, and it just sort of wouldn't work. But yeah, anyway, that's what I was playing. BioShock Infinite, Buried at Sea, which is the Rapture DLC, and yeah, otherwise it's been pretty good. You've been playing Meat Boy too, right? But
yep, I finished it up. That is the next big video, so gonna be putting it out.
See that when it comes.
When it comes, yes.
And with that, shall we have a look? I ask you, at the questions.
Yes. If you want to leave questions down below for the next VisualWood, please leave them down now.
We should have said, as you said, VisualWood there. I don't know why it just sort of brought to my mind very painfully what we've named this podcast. VisualWood. VisualWood. That's the name of our podcast.
Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah, so we don't have too many questions for this week, so if you've got any Guild Wars 2 related or otherwise, do drop them down, guys, because, you know, otherwise it can be slim pickings. Are you ready for this?
I am ready.
Aaron H says, are either of you completing the meta for World vs. World Season 1? What do you think of the reward chest should contain?
Man, I haven't. I've been slacking off a bit. I haven't really completed it yet. I have some progress on it, but I don't know really what the progress is. I don't think I have much else. But for the reward chest, I hope it's good, because I'm pretty sure some people have given up on it and don't really care. So, but what if there's something like a precursor chance in there, like a high precursor chance, or I don't know,
well, didn't they
ascended weapons in there?
Didn't they say exactly what was going to be in it before?
No, I don't think so. No,
I know that this is where you get the finishers from, isn't it? Like a silver finisher if you were in Silver League, a gold if you won, or whatever. This is where you get that from, right?
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure they said what's coming from the chest. Maybe not in its entirety.
No, not in entirety. Yes, you get like those certain stuff, but not what's actually in the chest.
Yeah, like I really like the idea of what they're doing here. Do you want to explain to people what the system is, in case they don't know? Because I didn't know until very recently.
Basically, Season 1, you have this meta achievement, right? Which is like a bunch of stuff that you have to do with basically just playing World v World, and you complete this meta achievement. Depending on what tier that I guess your World v World.
Well, you get a key from completing the meta, right? You get a key from completing the meta.
Yeah.
And the key goes to a chest.
Yeah.
The chest changes depending on how well your server did.
Yes.
So, I don't quite know how that works, because, like, I'm in Silver League. My server's Silver at the moment. Yours is Gold. What does that mean? Because you server swapped after the thing began. Do you get the rewards?
No, before.
You swapped before, did you? Oh, yeah. Interesting. Okay, so you will get.
As soon as it was announced, I started looking for another server that I can go into. That, yeah.
So you want to complete that meta then, dude? Otherwise, you don't.
Yes,
otherwise, it doesn't matter anyway.
Yeah, I paid like $1 billion just to transfer. Yeah.
So you can't transfer halfway through, guys. But and the other thing you get from doing these is there's an achievement, isn't there? Veteran of the Mists, I think it is, which is really similar to some of the exclusive titles they gave out in competitive PvP recently. So like I haven't done the meta either. Actually, I can't even be like, ooh, how dare you have not played it yet, Matt? That's disgraceful. I haven't.
No, I've played a lot of World v World. I just haven't completed it yet.
I've played barely any World vs. World, and I'm nowhere near completing it. And we're halfway through the season as well, so if we want to get it, we're going to have to actually work on it, I think.
Yeah. Some people got it in like 4 days or a week, they said.
Really?
So it's not too bad. It's not too bad. Yeah.
Oh no, that I'm
the
terrified
first 2
of that,
days.
actually.
First 2 days was some guy. I guess he played like constantly. I need to do that. Just play a couple days all the time and see what happens.
Yeah, and I mean that's possible for you as well because you're on a server that there's always commanders about. For me, if I go on, at 9 in the morning, for me, that's just when everybody's asleep, and I'm like, okay, time to take Stoneless
you're on
Castle
Emery
alone.
Bay, so
yeah, and I'm in a time zone where nobody's alive.
That's a double thing. Yeah, you're sleeping while they're playing.
We're not like a totally empty server. I'm way too pessimistic about our server. We got quite a lot of activity on our server, but
I'm pretty sure every server has activity.
Except like the low bronze ones. I'm sure there's some really dead servers out there. I just don't know what they're called.
Just like a ghost town, like no one's in line search.
And you type hello and you get that old fashioned message that says nobody hears you. That appears in like orange.
That is ridiculous. If that ever happens. I remember someone saying that it happened on my old server and I was like, oh gosh, that's really bad.
That's the only time someone can be like, Guild Wars 2 is dead is when they do that and post a screenshot of that. Yeah. Okay, so the next question is from Self Open Hell. Who says, I've noticed in a fractal dungeon a moment where you enter a dark forest and everything becomes very hard to see. This shows that Arena have good control over the enlightenment in the game. Do you think if they use this system to the fullest of its potential, if they could pull off an actually horror-themed dungeon that could give you scares?
I've never heard of an MMO. No, actually, I've heard of a horror MMO before.
Oh, what's that?
Very old one. I can't remember what it was. I think it was something to do with like vampires and werewolves and stuff like that. And it had a decent following, but it was a niche and it eventually failed. But MMO is such a weird space to do horror because, like, I don't know.
Jumping around constantly 5-year-olds ruin your immersion in a second.
Well, yeah, that, and it's, I mean, how do you really get scared when you're in you're not in first person? I don't know.
I think you can be scared when you're not in third person.
Yeah, but like Silent Hill. What am I saying? And Resident Evil. But I don't know. Like the system, it seems like they have to hinder you in some way for you to get scared.
I think for it to work, the horror would have to be entirely what the MMO's about, and you would take the social aspect of the game, of the MMO, and roll that into the horror theme, right? So by that I mean, Guild Wars 2, everyone is cooperating constantly, and you see a player and you're filled with joy and rainbows and happiness because you're always on their side. But, a horror MMO would do something so that the fear comes from other people as much as, canned stuff in dungeons and, spooky ghosts that come at you. And by doing that, you can make it, if you get it just right, you can make it, like, endlessly scary because you can never fully predict the nature of man kind of thing. So all the other players around you, if they're the things that you're scared of and they're the things you're skirting around, then if you could make that work, that would be very interesting.
Could it be like the World v. World thing where they can spring traps and stuff like that?
Yeah, I know it's not a concept that I've thought too long on, but that's how I think you could end up having a horror MMO. That said, a single player instance in Guild Wars 2 does have the potential to be scary if ArenaNet set it up right. But I don't think people would be scared for their own safety or whatever because they're just so immersed.
Right. I think they would have to add some difficulty, I think, to it.
You would scare them because there's a threat of losing their items or losing all their progress after half an hour's work in the dungeon or something. That's how they could scare people in Guild Wars 2. Otherwise, I don't think they really could. And I don't think it's a limitation of the engine for that matter. So where you're talking about lighting systems and stuff, yeah, it's so awesome, isn't it? I love those times where it gets dark. Do you remember that bit in the Super Adventure box where it gets dark?
Yeah.
In, like Zone 2? That's cool. And they could use that stuff. But, I don't think that alone would bring the fear. I don't think they could use any assets in Guild Wars 2 to scare me. While I'm looking at lists with all my gear and, that UI on there and stuff, it doesn't matter what they flash up on the screen if they somehow did. I probably wouldn't get scared in that respect. But they could try it. But then anything like that would just be punishing, right? So I don't know whether they should. Cool. Interesting idea, though. Do you want to move on to the next one?
Yep.
So this is from Gnome Hunter, who says, hey Matt and WP, do you think ArenaNet should add a profession or achievement-specific gear, be it simply skins or as a reward for completing an achievement? For example, like getting a special rifle for finishing the Rifle Mastery achievement. Is that a no? You don't think they should do that?
Well, I mean, no. I think that's all right. I mean, I don't think they will do it. I don't think that's like a priority to them. But I mean, for the sake of just answering the question, I think it would be cool. I mean, they already did it with the achievement chest, right? Where they add skins.
Yeah, there's already achievement gear.
There's already achievement, but I think he was talking about profession specific.
Yeah, so profession specific gear.
Yeah. So that would be quite interesting to have like this gear. Like, don't you know how they have cultural armor, but they have guardian armor instead, where it's just this one heavy bit of armor that looks really cool for guardians, and it goes well with their blue aura, for instance.
See, the thing is, this was something people were talking about long before launch, because in the first game, there was no such thing as armor classes. It was just Mesmers had their own gear, Ellie's had their own gear, Necros had their own... Everyone had their own gear in that game. And this was a big departure for that with Guild Wars 2. ArenaNet's justification always was, though, necromancers can wear any light armor, but we do have specific necromancer-ish looking armor in the game that you can go for. So they're sort of already doing this, if you think about it. So, like, you know when you create a character in-game, they've got, like, that default really cool-looking gear on them?
Yeah.
So, you know, like, when you log in and, like, you choose, I want to play a Guardian, it gives you a preview of your character before you, like, click Next.
Yeah.
That original preview, they're wearing a certain, like, exotic level 80 armor stuff. Some of it I think you can't even fully get. But, like, those are specific armors ArenaNet made in the game that are meant to look, you know, like, like a warrior could wear that Guardian armor you're seeing there, in theory. But they designed it to be Guardian stuff. Like, you know, the original Guardian shoulders that have got, like, little crosses on and stuff. So, like, in a way, I guess it's already there. But do you think this would be something they really want to do? Like, more profession-specific gear?
If that would be pretty cool if it had something with it. Like, they didn't just add it to the game. Like, oh, here's some more Guardian armor. No, like, they added, like, a quest to it and stuff like that. Like, a Guardian quest system. Like, you were talking about the traits, right?
Yeah.
And doing a quest to get the traits. Like, that would be cool if they added something like that and added, like, this armor towards it as well for people who want to, like, really complete the quest.
And, like, for weapons as well, what about, like, a Guardian-only hammer skin that changes the skill effect of your hammer skills as a Guardian?
That'd be great. Anything that would change it up a bit, because really I'm getting tired of these old animations over and over again. Are you? Because I feel like I am.
Not really. I don't know. I still enjoy the skills that I enjoy, and I just don't really pay attention. You can't pay attention to animations in Zergs anyway, so I sort of don't look at that side of the game that much.
I use my greatsword a lot, so it takes away a little bit. But I always switch it up with mace and scepter, and
I can imagine
use my focus.
Like if you were like a rifle warrior, I can imagine getting really bored of animations very quickly. Like,
oh gosh, that would be so bad.
Skill 5, the headbutt thing. And then you got like the kill shot. And then it just no. Yeah. All right. So yeah, this is actually the last question now. This is great because I forget, and then excellent, well done. Last question bell has been rung. Zapristo says, Matt WP, how did you guys choose your names?
Very good question. You go first this time.
See, I don't really like my name that much. I think it's got too many syllables. When I first chose it, it wasn't like I never was under the intention of making YouTube videos. Like, this is quite an old account. It's like early 2008, I think I made this.
Yeah.
And really, it was just because I had a friend. This is such a boring story. I had a friend who made his MSN Hotmail. He recently he needed to make a a Hotmail account.
Yeah.
And I was sat with him when his sister was showing him how to do it and stuff. And she was like, oh, well, it can be anything you want. And he was completely inspirationless. And so he just picked 2 random things near him and like stuck them together. And then that was his Hotmail account name. And like everyone always used to, you know, it was always a little bit of a story. You know, do you remember like being at school and giving out like your MSN and being like, oh, look, yeah, this is mine?
Oh, yeah, let's talk online or whatever when we get home from school. Yeah.
And like his
no one had phones back then.
Right, yeah. And this was like this ridiculously random thing that his was. And I remembered thinking back on that myself in 2009, needing a YouTube account. I originally made my YouTube account to like make playlists of music I listened to, which just had all this, which is still on my account as well. It's just private. It's got like this terrible stuff. Like the second song is like a Limp Bizkit song. It's like, it's ridiculous. But I was totally inspirationless. I didn't think I'd ever make videos or anything. And so I picked the first 2 random things that came to my head. I think wood probably came because it was what my desk was made out of and still is. It's not the same desk, but and potato. Why did I think of a potato?
Oh gosh, that is so sad. That is so sad.
Like, man. Thanks. I'm super proud of it. All right, so Matt Visual.
I mean, mine's not a really like any like revolutionary story. I didn't like go to the mountains of Drodemor and, you know, forge my name in the sands of Askenir.
Oh, don't tell them that. You're losing their respect.
Well, what happened was in the beginning of YouTube, right? I kind of just wanted to make music, right? And you could kind of see like my first videos was music. And you can probably see like my original playlist. I kind of deleted the old ones and kind of remastered them and whatever. But I wanted to make a game, right? And I was using GameMaker at the minute, and I was like learning a bunch of GameMaker stuff and learning all the commands and stuff like that. And I didn't know how to program, but I had a lot of 2D ideas, and I still do. I started making the music and ended up really enjoying making the music. And then, like, you know, people will give you, like, feedback in the comment section and stuff like that. And at the time, I was, like, into GameTrailers.com. And I recently went back to see what's up. You ever watch Ash, What You Playing?
No.
It's one of those cool shows. It's the same place where I saw Angry Video Game Nerd as well.
Okay.
That's where they all started from, pretty much. Then I saw Guild Wars 2 there. I was like, oh, this is pretty cool. So I wanted to think of a name. I think I went ahead of myself there a little bit. Because I kind of started, I made the music, but I wanted to make a name for it. And the Guild Wars 2 came a little bit later. I wanted to make a name. And I was like, okay, I could use Matt. Right? And
well, that sounds crazy straight away.
And right. You
should never use your first name on the internet.
Right. Well, my name is not Matt though.
Your name is
Matthew.
I know. Oh, am I not allowed to say your name?
Not Matthew. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's spelled
the first way.
Mattieu.
No. Mathieu.
I knew the IEU was there, but okay.
Mathieu. But yeah. So what happened is I wanted something, I guess, cool looking, like something visual, you know, and I was looking I was going for audio visual, something audio, but something that makes you, a music that tells a story in your head, paints a picture in your head and makes you feel something. And I was looking for audio visual and something to twist on the words and stuff like that. And I didn't come up with anything. Then I came to Matt Visual. And it really didn't roll off the tongue as well as it does now. For some reason now it's like, oh, it's Matt Visual. It's how could it be anything else? Right? Yeah, like Winning Potatoes is like, yeah, it's just like, how could it be anything else? You know, like, but well, back then, you know, thinking about the name, it's just like, that's the best I could come up with. And then I end up really liking the name I picked. You know, I'm glad it's not like Blue Cephas 17. You know, it's like
17.
You know, he eventually changed it to Yogscast now. Like, he's like before it was Blue Cephas. You know. Yeah. But you know, a lot of people make some weird names, and it's like it has nothing to do with your brand. But I was just lucky to have a good name.
It's a really weird thing, and one thing I really like about internet culture in general, like the idea of choosing your own name, is like names in general, and the idea of it in our society. I'm gonna go a bit weird at the moment, but like it's always something that's really fascinated me. And what's so great about the internet is you get that opportunity to choose your own name. Like names throughout human history, or, you know, recent human history, have been in so many cultures just this thing that determines who you are, but is never something you give yourself. It's something someone else gave you and you're just lumped with. And, you know, it says an awful lot to be able to choose your own name. And the internet's phenomenal for that. It really is, that people have this freedom to be more than what they are, you know, that they never got to determine when they were a child. And I've always
So what did your parents name you?
It begins with a W, and the second word begins with a P, and it all ends with an S. So, but I'll leave it there. And maybe one day people will guess it, and they'll realise my entire story today was a lie, and there's way more meaning behind Wood and Potatoes, and it's actually a cipher to my real name.
Oh, yeah.
Go nuts,
so
everybody.
Your name is Walnut Peanuts.
Walnut Peanuts. Wow, that's fantastic.
Walter
White.
Popcock.
Wait, what?
Yeah. Is that why you don't want to tell people your name? Because your last name is Popcock.
Yes, and that's just so embarrassing, you know? But it costs too much to change my name IRL. It costs too much, so I just live like this life of embarrassment in the shades. And Wood and Potatoes is preferential to it.
I can just imagine you're like that little kid that looks through the window at the kids playing outside.
Wow. Oh jeez.
Why doesn't Peter Popcott come outside? He's weird.
Well, and they like accidentally throw their frisbee in my yard, and I'm like, "Yo, kids, get away from here!"
Oh, that reminds me of the old movie. It's about these. Oh, I forgot the movie already, and I think I wanted to watch it the other day as well. It's like their ball goes into this guy's yard, and the guy is like a baseball player, an old baseball player, and they like kind of whatever, but hey, whatever. I don't know.
That sounds like a great film. I thought you were going to say it turns out the guy's a serial killer and it would be like a horror.
And kills the kids. Yeah.
But no, he's a baseball player. It's like the Mighty Ducks except with baseball. I'm sure
Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. You remember that?
I do remember that. And there was another one, Honey, I Blew Up the Kids, and that was my favorite when I was younger. I loved Honey, I Blew Up the Kids.
Oh my gosh. When you really rewatch some of these movies, you're like, wow.
What about like what's Flubber with Robin Williams?
Oh yeah, Flubber.
Yeah.
Oh dude, I have to watch that again. Just have to rewatch a lot of this. One of the Nutty Professor is really funny.
Oh, I don't know. That's one of those
Eddie
ones
Murphy.
Where people go back and it's either genius or it's just horrendous, and you just can't believe that you ever watched it.
Right. I mean, I'm pretty sure Truman Show would be pretty good to watch again.
See, I've never seen the Truman Show. I know what it's about, but
oh, if you know what it's about, then it's like the whole twist is like over. Now
is it a twist? Is that
it's all been done before, I guess, over and over again. It's like, yeah, let me not say, since you don't know the story. Then
I know what when people say, if someone's talking about something, they say, the plot is basically the Truman Show. I know exactly what they mean.
Okay. Well, let's not spoil it for anyone else who wants to.
That's crazy. That's a shame.
Anyways, I guess that's it. Anything else?
Yeah, no, we have rung the last question bell. We've done everything. That is basically the end of the podcast, as far as I'm concerned. I'm off. Yeah. That's the end of home bell ringing.
You have a bell? Or that's just like a glass table. I mean,
yeah, this is a pint glass being banged with a stylus I use to draw magnificent art on my system. So.
Oh yeah, it is magnificent. It is. We
should have a real last question bell. We should get on that, my friend.
All right. Next time we'll have a real question. Last question bell. Yes.
Bell should just be a theme of the podcast. It's like, welcome to the VisualWood podcast.
Have like a cowbell. Yeah, that would be great. Anyways, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, give me a like, share with your friends, leave a comment, say what's up in the comment section below. And stay visual.
Ritlock has no pants.
You don't say it with feeling.
What? What feeling should I have? Ritlock has no pants.
Yeah, there you go.